Welcome back to DXB Today, where tonight we are talking about the future of the workforce. The fourth industrial revolution is here, so let's get into it with our next guest, who is the founder and managing director of the Future of Work Management Consultants. So what is the fourth industrial revolution all about? Well, let's find out by welcoming Radha Bharj to the show. Radha, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So I've started off the show saying fourth industrial revolution this, fourth industrial revolution that. What does the fourth industrial revolution mean?
Right, so the fourth industrial revolution is basically about automation and artificial intelligence. But earlier, quite rightly, you did say that there are other parts of it. So we're talking about disruptive technology. And the mind tends to go to artificial intelligence because it's such a buzzword, and also because of the advancements around generative AI that happened in 2022 with the launch of ChatGPT. So it's important to realize that there's other disruptive tech that are also part of it. So things like the internet, artificial augmented reality, virtual reality, these are all part of disruptive tech that are part of the fourth industrial revolution.
Speaking of disruptive tech, I remember maybe 3 years ago, before AI was such a big buzzword, the metaverse was the big buzzword.
Yes.
Metaverse, we're all going to be inside virtual reality. Mark Zuckerberg is going to control everything. It hasn't really gone that way. Is there still work happening in that area that we could see become a buzz topic later on?
Well, what we're seeing, especially in the learning space, is spatial computing and the AI technology coming together. So when we have basically a metaverse environment that mimics a workplace, for instance, and you have a generative AI avatar who will talk to you in that environment. So actually what you're seeing here when we talk about disruptive tech is actually these disruptive tech coming together to give us experiences that we've probably never ever seen, even thought about before. Which is obviously quite fascinating when we talk about, where the world of work, learning is all going to.
I've been using VR for sword fighting, so I don't know.
Can I ask a question? Could you tell us a little bit about what are some of the challenges people are facing in the trainings you're offering and the upskilling you're working on? What trends do you see in apprehension?
I think one thing that we have to realize is that not everybody in the world of work, or even the youth that are coming through, the generation that are coming through, are digital natives. Okay. Now, if you're a digital native and if you are technically sound, if that's what you've majored in, or if that's where your experience is, you're going to be a lot more flexible and adaptive and less resistant to the change. Right? Where we are going now is some of the traditional jobs that we see, which never really required any technical literacy around, we're now being told in those roles is that actually there is a big part of that could be done by artificial intelligence. So we are having to upskill ourselves even in those areas, which is uncomfortable. We are all humans. For humans, change is incredibly uncomfortable. And we have to realize that is the reality, and there's a big well-being piece also that we need to manage with our students, but also with our employees, everyone that's coming through into the workplace.
Radha, I got to ask you, Nancy gave some really good tips, some practical tips for people who are not as adaptive to this new technology. What tips would you share for people who aren't exactly very flexible? Something practical that they can start from this day forward?
What I would say is the first we need to realize where we are. So today we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, but actually what we are coming into now and what we're talking a lot about is the fifth industrial revolution. Okay? And the fifth industrial revolution is all about how the human and the machine works together. Okay? So I think what we need to do and recognize is that that's the dynamic that is in play today. So firstly, understanding our technical or our AI literacy, becoming a bit more sound in that, understanding how it applies in our world and in our workplaces and how we can use it to our advantage. But also remembering all the soft skills, the human skills that are going to be more important than ever before, because that's going to be the differentiator against everything that is going to be very computer generated or machine generated, which we're obviously starting to see quite a lot about at the moment. So what I would say is make sure we understand and remember that agility and speed is the name of the game in the future of work. Okay? So again, just being able to be resistant to the change that we're seeing and adapt and be very, very curious, because your curiosity is going to get you to experiment. Experimentation is going to drive innovation. Innovation drives growth.
So Radha, I want to ask, obviously you've given us so much information there. How do we prepare now for future careers, given all this information that you've given us?
It's going to be a mix. It's going to be a combination. So firstly, that digital AI technical literacy, which is one of the fastest growing skills that we're seeing at the moment. But it's about remembering the human skills as well. So again, being open to change, lifelong learning, These skills have already existed for many, many years. But what we're seeing is we're going to have to work with these together to get most out of what's coming towards us. So again, just being prepared to pivot, to be able to change. Most of the jobs that are going to be around in the future don't exist yet. So we have to remember that. Things like human-centered design, which I really think is going to be the differentiator, is going to allow us to be human. And that's going to be key for us to stay relevant and obviously competitive in the workplace.
Which technologies do you see coming to disrupt us next, since you're talking about the fifth industrial revolution?
I think there's AI, but AI is so vast. So we've got different parts of AI. We've talked a little bit about the technology and the disruptive technology coming together in a way that we've never seen before. So I would expect more of this. We're breaking silos in every single regard at the moment in the world of work, and the world is a society, right? So again, just recognizing that we need to be prepared for that. None of us have a crystal ball here that can tell us the future, unfortunately, but what we can do is be prepared for it so that when it does happen, we can adapt also to that.
A question I love to ask whenever AI or new technology, especially AI, is concerned is obviously there's the problem of the machine learning loop that can happen where, as we know, AI learns from everything it sees on the internet, all the work that humans have done. There's going to come a point where a majority of the content online is AI generated and it'll start copying itself. How can we as humans stop that from effectively negatively affecting our work?
You know, you raise a really important point, and the heart of that question really comes to the responsible and ethical use of artificial intelligence. Okay, so as people using AI, as people who are designing it, implementing it, we have a very key responsibility to play to ensure that what we are doing, the way we train the algorithms, the way we implement the algorithms, that it's doing it in the right way, that is going to serve the community, serve humanity, rather than use it for a way to advantage one person or one area.
A quick shortcut.
Absolutely, yeah.